Inside the elven forest, two hot chicks were under attack by a gang of hideous, disgusting scumbags. But as one of the maids' faces was shoved into the dirt, a knight appeared out of nowhere, slicing the men down with a single swing. This overpowered jerk was Ark, who had woken up under a tree after being reincarnated into this world. Sporting a tattered twilight cloak and wielding a wyvern sword, Ark possessed skills from all the game classes, not just one, although he could cast the wyvern slash spell to obliterate all the trees before him and even unleash Hell's Inferno to torch the forest. The chunky guy realized that using those powers made him ravenous. Before he could starve, he used his gate ability to teleport to town. However, he almost kissed the ground when he reappeared. He managed to use his dimensional movability spell to zip across the world. But all this magic drained his water points. As he tried to drink from a river, he realized he was a hideous, disgusting skeleton. Knowing the townspeople would kill him on sight, he disguised himself and sneaked through the alleys until he spotted the hottest elf girl of his dreams. She promptly ignored his ugly cosplay and walked away. Throughout the town, he searched for her until he reached the mercenary guild, where he asked the guild master about her whereabouts. The guild master rejected his desperate pleas, telling him he must slay various monsters before earning any money or information. The guild master felt sorry that such a powerful knight had to take on these quests, believing he was doing it to find the mother of his sick child. Little did they know, the only thing noble about this knight was his plan to royally clap the elf with his Excalibur. After killing all the boars and completing his quests, he encountered a group of bandits who had ambushed some soldiers and were stripping the girls. As the princess screamed for her maid with the enormous assets, Ark realized he was the only skeleton in this world and wouldn't let anyone else get a bone. Just as the princess was about to be given a bone, Ark teleported behind the man and sliced 3 of them in half. The rest of the bandits, realizing what just happened, started fleeing. But Ark unleashed his ultimate ability, Wyvern Slash, burning the bandits to ashes. The 2 chicks thanked him for saving them, and as he escorted them to find the medicinal herbs they sought, he spotted an injured 9-tailed fox. When he approached it, the fox tried to bite him, but he used his monk magic to heal it, allowing it to walk without pain. The cute fox began following him around, and he decided to name it Panta. As they continued their journey, they finally found the white wisteria tree, but as Marker ran closer, a massive basilisk emerged from the darkness. But before it could squash her like a bug, Ark teleported and narrowly blocked the poison fog that the giant lizard belched out. While trying to figure out how to defeat his scaly foe, the beast unleashed a flurry of claw attacks that Ark barely managed to fend off, until one nearly crushed him. But before its slimy tongue could take him out, he teleported out of its reach. Ark was starting to tire from all this dodging and blocking. At that moment, the basilisk prepared to unleash its ultimate ability, and as it cast its petrification spell, Ark used his divine shield to neutralize all status effects and nullify the attack. Even so, the basilisk kept attacking, using its poisonous fog to try and end his miserable life. But Ark found an opening to unleash his S-rank ability, defeating it with a single blow. Even Ark was shocked by how powerful his attack was, but noticed something was off about the monster. As he approached the ring on the lizard, it disintegrated before his eyes. Just then, a massive boar appeared, so Ark decided to slay it and gift it to the villagers. At the village, Marka's mommy milkers, Siona, saw her daughter and was overjoyed that she was still alive, crying as she wondered why she left the village without telling her. Marka revealed the flower she had gathered to cure her illness. Smiling and hugging her daughter, she asked Ark to come over so she could savor the meat off his bone. After Siona devoured the best dinner of her life, Marka and her sister called him their new dad and gave him a gift before he went to get milk like their other dad. A few weeks passed and Ark was still searching for a way. He enters a cave where he heard bandits had kidnapped elves and discovers a pile of gold waiting for him. But no sign of the captured elves. Ark takes his newfound treasure, planning to head to town for a meal. But then the elf finally appears, ready to annihilate him. She slashes at him, aiming to kill him on the spot, but he narrowly dodges her attacks. As her cloak falls back, revealing her face, he realizes he's finally seen the love of his life again. Ark tries to reason with her, but she calls him a bandit. As she prepares for a final strike to finish him off, Panta appears, stopping her in her tracks. This towering plot twist asks him how he managed to befriend the 9-tailed fox. and Ark explains that he healed Ponta when it was injured. The elf girl apologizes for mistaking him for a bandit and explains she came to rescue the hunted elves. However, the elves are already gone, and Ark tells her he destroyed all the bandits. She prepares to leave, but Ark tries to find a way to turn this encounter into a plot twist where he's twisting her plot. Sorry, I meant Ark tries to find a way to work with her. She refuses because he's just a human knight and runs away. Although this encounter discourages him, he knows that no gamer can pass up the chance to help a beautiful elf, and he strengthens his resolve. The rest of his nights are spent wondering how he could ever find her again. But the hard bones in his body won't let him give up. The next morning, he sets off to the elf forest, hoping to find her. But the Ninetails warns him that there are enemies around. An elf runs by, and a bandit captures her, showing her off to his leader. He stabs her in the leg, telling her to beg for mercy. But even after she begs, he continues to stab her. Ark sneaks around, seeing that the elves are trapped behind a cell with their lives threatened. Just as he is about to act, Mrs. Giant Cannonballs charges in, obliterating the men in her way. The bandits gang up on her, but she slashes one of their arms and charges forward, destroying the rest who stand in her way. She strikes fear into them, continuing to slash through every single bandit in her path. The bandit leader stops her, threatening to kill the small elves if she continues resisting. He tells her he will just inspect her merchandise, and a Isekai plot is about to unfold. Ark flashes in and launches the leader toward a tree, saving the elves and impressing the love of his life. After all the bandits are completely destroyed, Mrs. Nuclear Missiles wonders how to find the key to free the kids, but Ark smashes the lock with his hand to free them. One of the kids, however, has a cursed collar that is draining her life. She tells Ark that she can't break it, but Ark uses his magical abilities to free her from the curse and heal all her wounds. Hot Elf Girl realizes this guy is no ordinary knight and wonders what else his bone can do to her in. I meant the damsel in distress begins falling in love with her knight in shining armor, because this is a wholesome and family-friendly show. Ark continues to play with the kids to help them recover from their traumatic experience, and Mrs. Giant Blaster introduces herself as Ariane, just as he finally enjoys some alone time with her. A bird arrives to warn her that their elf headquarters are under attack, and Ariane asks if she could hire him to help. Although she's never trusted a human in her entire life, she decides to give him a chance since he saved all the other elves. After teleporting her near the lethal river, she realizes that he possesses the forbidden long teleportation skill and wonders how he can cast it without an incantation. By the time they reach the bridge, he uses his teleportation magic to sneak them into an alley. Ariane reveals that they will be meeting her lifelong friend. Hearing this, Ark anticipates meeting another hot elf chick, but when he turns around, he realizes it's a hideous Russian moron, crushing all his dreams with the window being their only way inside. Ariane ensures the roof is empty and tries to get in. As they search the building, they see a few mercenaries were killed while sleeping and realize there is a murderer among them. They decide to split up, and while Ark teleports down the hallway, he flashes into another room filled with dead bodies, where a ninja almost kills him. However, when she sees the Ninetails sitting on top of him, she realizes he must be a good man for befriending a spirit creature and apologizes for attacking him. Before leaving, she gives him a map of the underground to find the elves he is looking for and reveals that 2 elves are also trapped in the mansion, hoping this will help him complete his mission as she leaps away. However, Ark wonders what she's talking about, as his only mission now is to find that hot cat ninja girl. After showing Ariane and Danka the outline of the prison cells, Ariane begins to question how he gained this classified information. Before he can come up with a lie to distract her, a group of bandits breaks into the room. Ariane burns them alive with a single strike, killing the ugly, disgusting losers instantly, and promises to erase anyone who stands in her way. A few minutes later, they find the group of elves in their cells. Ark stretches the iron bars apart to free them, allowing them to finally feel safe after enduring all their torture. He then teleports them outside, and noticing the cursed seal on their necks, Ark activates his uncursed magic to free them. This spell only the archdukes could cast astonishes Danka. He promises to take care of the girls while they invade the mansion. Ark then holds onto Arian and uses his dimensional move to teleport towards the final two elves. In the distance, the ninja girl wishes to meet him again someday. Inside the Lord's manor, two elves are tied to a bed, about to be involved in a sekai plot. The grotesque man applies a white cream to the elf's belly, and she makes clot-filled noises. Outside the building, Ark teleports through the air, reaching the top of the manor and attacking the guards stationed there. The rest of the soldiers in the manor search for him, but he hides in plain sight to avoid causing more casualties. A man knocks on the door of the owner, warning him that invaders are coming to get rid of him. As he says his final words, Ark and Arian burst through the door, announcing their arrival to rescue the elves. They destroy the owner's plot-making abilities and save the girls. As Ark interrogates the slave dealer, he realizes there is a hidden room in the wall, while Arian gives the Lord the treatment he was about to give. Meanwhile, the two elves prepare to deliver 1,000 years of pain until a group of soldiers appears. Arian unleashes her ultimate spell, incinerating them all with a single blow, while Ark begins stealing all of the Lord's gold. When Arian questions his actions, Ark explains that the gold will help rebuild their slave trade business, so he is taking it to destroy their operations. She buys his lies, just like Andrew Tate taught him to deceive women, allowing him to amass enough gold to finally buy a Bugatti instead of remaining a disgusting brokey. Now a millionaire, she invites him to her elf village to spend the night with her, although he realizes this is what every nerd loser who hasn't showered in a week would want. She reveals that he needs to meet her father before she can call him daddy. However, Ark reveals he can never show his face, fearing she might turn her sword against him upon discovering the truth. When she swears she won't, he contemplates his decision and finally decides to remove his mask. When she asks how he got this ugly, Ark reveals he woke up cursed, attempting to hide that he was ice-guyed. Seeing how big his bone was, she decides to accept him as he is and believes there might be a way to cure his curse. A few days later, as they near the village, Ark tries to teleport away but falls into a hole bigger than Arian's. Eventually, they find clean water to fill their empty bottles, and after catching a fish from the water, they spend the night cooking their meal. Just then, Arian's fattest belly growls, and Ark realizes a single fish can't feed all the weight on her chest, so he decides to catch a boar for her. While he is gone, she sees Ponta sleeping and restrains herself from petting him so the poor creature can sleep peacefully. However, the menace wakes up anyway, and when Ark returns with the boar, he finds her rubbing Ponta on her massive chest. Although Ark tries to ignore the cringe he just witnessed, he wishes he could be the one feeling those nice massive tits. The following morning, after passing through the forest, they finally arrive at the elven village gates. So as Ari announced her arrival, the gates swung open immediately. Inside the village, the elder introduced himself as Dylan and revealed that Ari was their daughter. Her mother, Glennis, tried to deceive Ark about her age, hoping he'd become interested in her and they could all enjoy a threesome. But Ark wasn't into cougars, so he quietly rebuffed her advances. Dylan began questioning why they attacked Lord Triton's mansion. He worried their actions would start a war and couldn't understand why they couldn't leave without setting the place ablaze. Ark decided to explain everything. By the time he was done, Dylan was convinced they weren't guilty after all but revealed he needed to explain everything to the other elders. Ari offered to accompany him for support, and Dylan told her they would be leaving in the morning. The next day, when Ark woke up, Glennis told him they had already left. After wandering through the city, she asked him to spar with her. That evening, when they reached the forest, she informed him she intended to test his long sword. She wanted to see if he was strong enough to protect her daughter, but as she rushed at him, she pretended to attack his head, then immediately flashed behind him, sweeping him off his feet, mocking his fighting skills. She told him even a newborn would move faster than his sluggish, worthless body. She instructed him to prepare for her next attack, and Ark realized this was the first time he was up against someone stronger than him. So he tried to learn from her techniques. However, as she lunged towards him, she swept him before he could react, continuing to strike his body. By sunset, Arkansas was already worn out from having his face used as a mop, so he decided to feint a jab. He teleported behind her to strike, but she countered with 100 jabs, sending him crashing to the ground. As he lay on the grass, he felt bad for letting Andrew Tate down by losing to a woman in her own home, deciding to soak in a bath. He began wondering if Ari would join him in the showers. Meanwhile,
Yes! Oh. 待て、アリアントの我だ、アークだ!
in the living room, Ari wondered if he got a good look at her plot region. But Ark was more curious about why her cannons were so huge. Just then, Dylan informed him that the elders had decided to hire him, hoping he could investigate the slave contract and free the remaining captured elves. However, they had no money to pay him. Ark thought he couldn't work for these brokies, so when Dylan realized Ark wasn't going to help them, he offered directions to the sacred spring. This spring was rumored to have special healing qualities. Dylan told him it could even break his skeleton curse, believing it could be the answer to his prayers. Ark wondered how he would find the spring. So Dylan revealed it was near the Lord Crown, a rare dragon tree that housed the Dragon Lord. This tree was the secret pathway to finding the spring, but Ari warned him that the dragon would obliterate any invader who disturbed the spirits inside the sacred spring. However, she thought they could be granted permission to enter and was certain it would ensure their success. When she told him she'd be joining him inside, Ark wondered if she'd finally warm his skeletal heart and agreed immediately. That night in his room, he started pondering if his skeleton form was truly a curse, given it was his game avatar's appearance. Just then, he remembered his uncurse spell could remove any curse and decided to give it a try.
Anicaps. Huh? Oh? Oh!
However, the flesh disappeared instantly, so he tried the uncursed spell again, but it disintegrated once more. Come morning, they set off on their new journey through the forest, aiming to find the remaining elves from the trafficking contract. Meanwhile, Ark was pleased to have discovered his skeletal form was due to a curse but wondered if the sacred spring would permanently heal his body. That evening, they decided to dine at an inn. When Ari suggested they travel through the forest for a quicker route, the innkeeper appeared, warning them of the danger. She explained that haunted wolves had taken over the forest and had even made a few people their dinner. After she left, Ari still suggested they continue as planned. The next day, they journeyed through the forest, and Ari revealed her plan to collect the wolves' tails for her sister. She had found out that their fur would make a stunning veil and thought it would be the perfect gift. Suddenly, wolves emerged from the bushes. When Ark slew one, it vanished, revealing it was an illusion. As Ari slashed through the illusionary wolves, Ark dodged one, but another bit down hard on his armor. The wolves could create multiple illusions as distractions, and with the pack leader in command, Ark realized they could become the wolves' next meal. As more wolves lunged at him, he slashed through the illusions, but the last one bit onto his armor. As new wolves charged at Ari, she summoned fire, incinerating one of them. When another tried sneaking up on her with multiple clones, she summoned earth spikes, taking them all out simultaneously. Ark found her skills impressive and thought he could learn a lot from her. However, the wolves wouldn't be defeated as long as the pack leader lived. Spotting it atop a cliff, Ark teleported instantly, but the pack leader dodged his attack. As Ark noticed the mystical ring around its ankle, he realized that he had seen it on another monster, so he teleported again. But as the wolf flashed to his back looking to end him, he blasted it with fire before slicing the ring in half. At that moment, the wolf returned to its right mind and roared for the others to retreat. So as Ari rejoined him, they watched the ring as it disintegrated and wondered who could have created it. Just then Ari remembered she needed wolf fur and decided to get to work. Meanwhile, a princess was traveling through the forest and began wondering if her brothers were part of the elf slave trade. She thought their greed would start a war with the elves and wondered if it would destroy the kingdoms if either of them becomes king. Just then the carriage rocked from a collision and the guards began screaming from an attack. At that moment Pontus sensed the danger and began running towards the site, so Ark ran after him. As the carriage crashed into a tree, the attendant drew her sword, but as the door opened a man slashed her instantly. With the princess in shock, she hurried out to help her but was sent straight into nirvana. While the low-lives were celebrating their victory, Pontus jumped on one of the soldiers, but as he picked it easily, the commander told him to eliminate the fox. However, Ark seized his arm and broke it at that instant. But as he decided to check the princess, the men started launching fireballs at him, but he was unscathed from all their attacks. Just then the haunted wolves began to devour them, and as Ark noticed the pack leader, he drew his sword and easily annihilated all the men. After the wolves retreated deep into the forest, Ark decided to cast a regeneration spell, and as her wound closed up, the princess regained consciousness. Glad at this discovery, Ark decided to cast another regeneration spell on the attendant and continued casting more spells to awaken the slain soldiers. By the time the princess woke up, her attendant told her that they must have been resurrected by a miracle, and the princess thought the miracle must have come from God himself. So when her soldiers were gathered, she began saying that God was on their side, and that they must continue on their journey no matter what. Meanwhile, Ark was watching from behind a bush and began wondering if using his healing magic was a bad idea. Even though he had saved good people, he wondered if resurrecting them would make significant changes to the future. However, he decided to rejoin Ari and discovered that she had already gathered all the fur. A few days later, they finally arrived at the city. An ugly bully bumped into Ark. Thinking he could kick some ass and demand money later, the girl, however, poked his eyes, challenging the others to attack her, as they charged at her simultaneously. She threw them away effortlessly, making Ark realize she was stronger than she looked. Noticing their presence, she asked if their mission to rescue the elves was successful. Hearing her words, Ark realized she was the ninja he had met earlier as she revealed her face. She congratulated them on their success and suggested they speak in private. As Ari wondered who she was, Ark explained that she had given him the slave contracts, and the girl introduced herself as Chiyomi. She mentioned she was one of the 6 ninjas of the Genshin clan and suggested they find a quieter place to talk. At an inn, Chiyomi questioned why Ark called her a ninja. Since no outsider knew that term, Ark replied that he had met a ninja before. Intrigued, Chiyomi thought he might be from the same realm as their great founder, making Ark wonder if another loser had already reincarnated into this world before him. When Ari asked why Chiyomi wanted to speak privately, she requested their help in rescuing her clansmen, offering the whereabouts of the remaining elves in return. Ark mentioned he was already hired to find the elves and asked Ari if she was willing to help. She agreed. As they headed to the slave market, Ark asked Chiyomi about the great founder. She explained that he was a human who trained her clansmen, who had been slaves in the empire, and trained them to turn into the Genshin clan. Ark realized the great founder must have been quite special to create such a legend. He wondered if he could ever become a legend, but concluded he was too much of a loser to achieve such a feat. At the slave market, Chiyomi told them they would attack simultaneously. Inside, guards were discussing their profits from the slaves, hoping to make the quota soon to ship them off to another country. Outside, Chiyomi explained that reinforcements would arrive once they attacked, suggesting they create a diversion at the front gates. She worried if they could escape before reinforcements arrived, but Ark assured her they would fight until the end and could teleport away once done. As Chiyomi grew excited by his words, she began to wonder if Ark was a space-time ninjutsu master. Thinking they could save all her clansmen with his teleportation magic, deciding to rejoin her comrades, she told them they would attack once it was dark, then leaped off into the trees like an over-caffeinated squirrel. With Chiyomi gone, Ark suggested they make their own preparations, but his preparation was just another futile battle with food. As Ari gave him a taste of her meat, she told him it was from a dragonfly they encountered a few days ago. Ark thought it tasted delicious. After their dinner, Ark decided to wear an ugly mask in the forest, making Ari wonder if he was trying to make his already haunted face even scarier. She told him he looked worse than a circus freak, and even Panta was traumatized by the sight of his new hideous face. Just then, Chiyomi arrived with her companion, introducing him as Gomen. As Gomen approached Ark like he was about to knock his teeth out, they suddenly locked hands and began fighting. Neither could overpower the other, so they leaped back, but as they charged at each other again, they ended up hugging like long-lost brothers. The girls wondered if the two had lost their minds but were soon interrupted by the ringing city bell. As they prepared for the invasion, Chiyomi told Ark and Gomen to attack the front gate of the capital. As they walked towards the gate, the knights realized they were a threat and drew their weapons immediately. Gomen summoned earth from the ground, forming it into large horns, charging at the gate. He blew it open instantly. More soldiers rushed to protect the capital, but Ark obliterated them, sending the rest slamming into the wall. At the same time, Gomen turned his body into steel as the men charged at him. Their swords shattered on his body like cheap glass. Hoping to draw out reinforcements, Ark launched rocks at the soldiers, annihilating them in an instant. With the rest scared for their lives, Gomen summoned his rock spear from the ground, sending the losers running away. Impressed, Ark decided to show off his own skills. He summoned Rock Fong from the ground, annihilating the men and even destroying the entire capital, before getting buried under the rubble. Well, at least he made an impression. At the same time, Chiyomi and Ari had climbed over the wall and, seeing that enough soldiers were distracted at the gate, they hurried towards the building. Chiyomi quickly unlocked the door, and they discovered that the guards were running to the front gate. They began sprinting down the hallway, but Panta started growling. They realized a few men had spotted them, but as the men charged, Chiyomi summoned Liquid Wolf. The water tornado of wolves took them out instantly. Impressed by her ninjutsu, Ari thought Chiyomi was quite the show-off. More guards started running at them. So Ari drew a flame from her sword and blasted them with fire. They soon arrived at the underground cells. Chiyomi opened one of the cells, freed the slaves, and commanded them to release the others. As more soldiers approached, Ari ended them with a single strike. Meanwhile, outside, Ark emerged from the rubble. Gomen also emerged, having survived by turning his body into steel. Ark saw all the men had been killed and suggested they find the girls. Just then, the girls appeared, announcing they had already freed the slaves. However, they suspected more slaves were held in another building. Gomen decided to guard the gate to stop further reinforcements while Ark and the girls ran towards the building. A guard tried to strike Ari, but she slayed him before slashing another. Ark bashed two others, and Chiyomi summoned her Liquid Wolf technique to eliminate the rest. They reached another underground cell area where Chiyomi freed all the slaves. But at the last cell, they discovered the slaves were already dead. Outside, Gomen turned his body into steel as more reinforcements arrived. Inside, sensing the reinforcements, Ark began teleporting the slaves outside, eventually saving all of them. Back at the front gate, the reinforcements realized they couldn't kill Gomen. Ark teleported to his side for support, and the reinforcements knew they were in trouble. Ark summoned rock fangs from the ground while Gomen supported him with rock spears, wrecking the entire area. Chiyomi, witnessing the destruction, wondered if they would survive. But Ark teleported before them at that instant, and they realized he had managed to save all the bodies, sending their souls to Nirvana. Ari summoned fire to burn them, and as their flaming souls rose towards the sky, Chiyomi vowed to become stronger so she could protect the survivors. A few hours later, after all the slaves had returned home, Chiyomi and Gomen decided to rejoin the pair. But as Gomen locked eyes on Ari, they locked hands again in another macho show of power, eventually creating a pit with their combined weight. With neither able to overpower the other, they decided to hug it out once again. Ari, rolling her eyes, called them a pair of morons. The following day, as they sailed through the capital, Chiyomi thanked them for their help and decided to reveal what she had promised. Meanwhile, Princess Uriana had arrived in another city, and as she met her sister, she was glad to see her alive. However, when her sister revealed that the killers were sent by their brother, Uriana began wondering how she managed to discover that. After entering the castle, her sister told her that a necklace was found with Dakar, their older brother, and revealed that he had confessed to the crime before he was slain. Uriana thought it was a plot against Dakar and realized that their second brother's faction could have been responsible, seeing as Dakar's death would make him the direct heir to the throne. When her sister suggested they announce her survival to everyone, Uriana told her to keep it a secret, realizing she could form an alliance with the elf clan in the meantime and potentially become queen before her brother knew it. Inside the forest, as Ark and Ari continued their travels, Ark remembered that Chiyomi had told them that the captured elves were being held in the Holy Ravlin Empire, but noticed that Ari had grown worried ever since she heard the name. He wondered how dangerous the city would be but thought they would definitely succeed in finding the elves. A few days later, after arriving at a wasteland, they noticed a flock of wyverns patrolling the skies, and Ark thought they would be attacked once spotted. To disperse them, he jumped down the mountain and prepared a lightning spell, making the clouds turn dark instantly. Without hesitating, he summoned lightning from the sky, electrifying the beasts and unintentionally frying Ari and Panta along with them. By the time he was done, he teleported back to the top and realized they were already toast. Meanwhile, a random dude was watching him from the top and wondered if Ark's brain had left his empty head. That evening, as they had dinner inside an inn, Ari realized her ears were still ringing from the shock. As she revealed a map, she began suggesting a plan to infiltrate the Empire. However, Ark sensed that she was still worried and began wondering what might have happened. So she told him that holding slaves was actually legal in the Empire and that she could be captured. Even staying inside a border town was risky, so she urged him to stay vigilant. Just then, a man popped up before them, revealing that he had seen them in the wasteland. Introducing himself as Karsi, Ari immediately covered his face, reminding him that elves should keep their identity hidden in a human town. She warned him that he could easily end up as a slave and to never take unnecessary risks. At that moment, the proprietress asked if Karsi wanted his usual drink, and a group of rowdy folks invited him to their table. Realizing he was well known, Ari listened as Karsi explained. After revealing that he had been living in this town for a decade, he told Ari to relax, assuring her that they could coexist with humans. Ari, growing angry at the idea, told him it was impossible. With her clan having been sold as slaves, Ari believed that living together would only lead to chaos. When Ark asked what he wanted, Karsi said he studied monsters for a living and needed their help capturing a special kind of monster. After witnessing Ark's lightning magic, he thought Ark was perfect for the job. Ari thought Karsi was too annoying and initially refused to help, but he revealed a map of the Holy Ravlan Empire, offering it in exchange for their assistance. Seeing it as their ticket, Ari agreed. That night, when Ark went to pay for a room, the proprietress gave him a barrel of PG grape juice, hinting at some manly duties for the night. Inside the room, Ari pondered how elves and humans could ever coexist. She took a sip of the PG grape juice, twitching her ears at the delicious taste. After another sip, she jumped on top of Ark, asking for a taste of his bone. Her words made Ark shiver, but she moved his head, demanding to feel his bone already. When he hesitated, she decided to take charge, causing even the proprietress to hear the echoes of their wall-shattering plot development. The next day, as they met Karsi outside the town, he introduced his creepy friend, and they set off. While riding out, Ark noticed Ari had a hangover, and she complained that a smell from the cart was making it worse. As the breeze blew the canopy, revealing dead monsters, Karsi explained that they were goblin carcasses, using them as bait to lure out a sandworm. Then the creepy friend tossed tea to Ark, claiming it would cure Ari's hangover. Ari, spotting his creepy smile, thought he was worse than a disgusting loser and refused the drink. Karsi assured her that the guy wasn't as useless as he seemed and persuaded her to taste his juice. She reluctantly took a sip of his slimy liquid but wondered why the loser's face resembled a shark's head. When Ark asked how they would capture the monster, Karsi explained it was weak to fire and thought it could be easily lured out by the wyverns. Just then, Ari noticed that the loser was nowhere to be found. As she tried to warn the group, a gigantic sandworm erupted from the ground, towering 40 meters above them. They realized it was much longer than they had anticipated. Spotting the loser knocked off his cart, Ari rushed to save him. Summoning a flame from her sword, she leaped 20 meters toward the beast and blasted it with fire. However, the monster remained unscathed and attempted to devour her as she landed. Ark swooped in to save her, holding off the worm while she ran to rescue the loser. Ark then yanked the worm out of the ground and power-slammed it, weakening its entire body and causing its mystical ring to disintegrate. After returning to town, Karsi handed them their prize, even throwing in a book of monsters as a bonus. Before leaving, Ari asked him why he was living with humans. Karsi explained that he discovered humans were different from what he had thought and believed they could eventually coexist with elves. He considered this town to be the foundation of that future and was proud to be among the brave elves taking the first steps. As they left town, Ari asked Ark if humans and elves could truly coexist. He told her they would figure it out in time. A few days later, they arrived at another border town, discovering that captured elves were being held there. Realizing their presence might draw attention, Ari suggested they search the town separately. Throughout the day, they interrogated random people, hoping to find clues about the elves' whereabouts. By evening, Ark discovered that loud screams were heard from the fortress every night and that random people were mysteriously disappearing. He suspected they were being abducted by monsters and wondered why there was no news about the elves. As he was about to search for Ari, he heard a scream from an alley where a girl was being shoved into empty barrels. 3 losers appeared, one trying to force her to follow them. Ark caught the loser's hand, telling him to scram before he knocked out his useless teeth. When the other losers rushed at him, Ark knocked them back with his armored head flick, sending all 3 men slamming into the wall. With the girl finally safe, she thanked him for rescuing her. At that moment, Ari arrived and spotted them together. Ark tried to explain what happened, but Ari's territorial instinct kicked in, and she threatened to squash the girl's ugly face, making her run away. That night in the fortress, the losers tried to explain to their master what happened. The psychopath dismissed their words as useless and commanded his beast to make them its dinner instead. Arriving at an abyss, he reveled in the presence of his greatest monster and revealed that he was preparing someone special for its dinner. Meanwhile, Ark and Ari had arrived outside the fortress, and Ari revealed that the elves were brought here 4 months ago. Ark began wondering if they could still be here, considering in 4 months they might have been killed or sold off. Ari agreed but decided to head towards it anyway, unwilling to leave without checking. As they successfully sneaked into the fortress, they found it surprisingly empty. Ari mentioned an informant had told her about a secret entrance, so she pushed on a wall, revealing a hidden passage. As they descended, they noticed 2 guards watching the gate. Ari suggested knocking them out, but Panta had a better idea and created a distraction. In a flash, Ari knocked one guard out while Ark put the other to sleep. Ari then struggled to push the door open, only for Ark to easily slide it open. Inside, they found an underground prison filled with bones. Panta soon discovered another gate. As they entered, they realized it was a cave, but then a familiar loser appeared. Fumba, upon noticing Ari's impressive assets, decided he wanted a closer look and commanded her to kill Ark. Without hesitation, Ari smacked Ark's armor. As Ark tried to tell her she was attacking the wrong person, he realized she was hypnotized. While wondering what Fumba had done, Ari slammed him to the ground. When her cape came off, Fumba realized she was a dark elf, thinking he had hit the jackpot. Ark decided to break her hypnosis. Casting his uncursed spell, Ark tried to snap her out of it, but she grew angrier and tried to slash his arm off. Realizing she was still under the spell, he continued repeating the uncursed spell, taking all her strikes until he tripped on a rock. As he managed to stand, he noticed Fumba wasn't casting any spells. Amid her relentless attacks, Ark spotted 2 glowing eyes inside her hoodie. Blocking her final strike, Ark directed Panta to attack the creature. The fox wrestled the creature out and Ark burned it instantly. Ari passed out and Ark realized the imp was casting an illusion on her, making her fight an imaginary beast. Fumba, impressed by Ark's success, introduced himself as a monster sorcerer and boasted about commanding countless monsters. As Ark noticed Fumba's tattoo, he thought it looked suspiciously similar to the mystical rings he had been seeing on the rampaging beasts. Just as he started connecting the dots that the ugly loser might be controlling the monsters, a giant tiger appeared behind Fumba with another ring on its body. Deciding to gently lay Ari aside, Ark asked if any of the captured elves were still in the cave. Fumba, laughing like a deranged idiot, told him that he had already fed them to his monsters. Ark, instantly slicing off the tiger's head, realized that this psychopath was the most revolting villain he'd ever encountered. Fumba, thinking he still had the upper hand, started lashing his whip and summoning 100 more monsters. Undeterred, Ark was set on teaching this loser a lesson, so as Fumba commanded the monsters to attack, Ark began slaying them all with ease. Fumba, continuing to whip his monsters into a frenzy, called upon a goblin, but Ark bashed it with his shield, sending it crashing into the wall. When a lizard beast tried to restrain Ark, he sliced it with a single strike. Fumba then dramatically revealed that Ari was about to be ice-guyed. Just before a goblin could harm her, Chiyomi cast a spell, trapping it in a water prison and killing it instantly. Unwilling to give up, Fumba kept lashing his whip, trying to summon more monsters, but when none showed up, Chiyomi smugly revealed that her comrades had already taken care of the rest. Ark, curious how Chiyomi managed to find them, was told that she had revealed the fortress location to Ari and promised to support them. Ark realized that Ari must have been really jealous after seeing him with the girl he rescued, which is why she hid the information from him. Suddenly, the cave began to crumble and Fumba bragged that his greatest monster was about to emerge before escaping in the chaos. With Ari still unconscious, Ark teleported them outside just as a monstrous hydra emerged from the ground, adorned with the same rings. Chiyomi suggested they retreat and come up with a plan, but the monster noticed them and unleashed an energy blast, making Fumba think they were completely fried. A few years ago, Fumba had demanded respect from his clan, claiming to be the most powerful monster tamer alive. But the clan leader told him he was weak and to get lost because his face was worse than a dumpster. Fumba, humiliated, begged the Empire King for help and a position in the city. The king dismissed him, saying even a stray dog was more valuable. Fueled by these insults, Fumba was determined to become the greatest monster sorcerer ever and commanded the Hydra to head for the city and devour everyone. Meanwhile, Ark's teleportation landed them on a mountain. Chiyomi, amazed at how they survived, thought Ark must be the most overpowered human she'd ever seen to have shielded them from the Hydra's breath. However, Ark quickly realized that Ari was missing. He began frantically shouting her name until they spotted her perched on a rock, dark aura radiating from her. She revealed that she wasn't actually unconscious when the imp messed with her mind and had heard every single word Fumba said. She suggested they find him so she can personally send him to another dimension. Since the loser already believed they were dead, she figured they'd easily catch him off guard. As she started to leave, she noticed Ark wasn't moving. Puzzled, she asked why he wasn't coming with them. Ark confessed that he preferred to stop the monster, thinking he was too weak to defeat Fumba. Chiyomi tried to convince him to sit this one out, but Ark snapped at her to shut her disgusting mouth, adding that her face looked like a nightmare.
Damn!
Meanwhile, the Hydra was getting dangerously close to the city, triggering alarms and an evacuation order. The commander, however, ordered his men to defend their home. As one of the Hydra's heads prepared to unleash a blast, Ark intercepted it with a wyvern slash. Noticing that the strike barely scratched the monster, he braced himself as the Hydra's heads lunged at him. Ark managed to escape and bash his shield into another head. He teleported back with a powerful punch, delivering an armor lariat that killed one head instantly. Fumba, watching from a distance, wondered if Ark's body was made of steel, as he should have been obliterated by the Hydra's breath. Just then, the Hydra unleashed another energy blast that torched the forest, but Ark teleported away. One of the Hydra's heads captured him, and as it prepared to sacrifice one of its own to eliminate him, it unleashed its breath. Ark's shield protected him, reflecting the energy across the forest. As the Hydra prepared for another attack, Ark summoned a magic circle in the sky and used his judgment magic to slice the Hydra's heads simultaneously. However, the Hydra's heads began regenerating. Ark, teleporting away, decided to try a new magic skill and summoned an infernal demon. As the Hydra fully regenerated, the demon appeared before it, stopping the serpent from advancing toward the city. Meanwhile, Ari and Chiyomi were racing through the forest with Panta leading them to Fumba's scent. Just as Fumba was about to command the Hydra to unleash its full power, Ari nearly roasted his face off. When they appeared before him, Fumba, in a moment of idiotic bravado, asked if they wanted a taste of his meat. Ari, unfazed, called him a loser and threatened to make him choke on his own words. She told him he was weak, using monsters to mask his impotence because it was the only way he could stay relevant. Hearing this, Fumba was reminded of the similar insults from his clan leader and the Empire King. Furious, he revealed his whip, hoping to prove himself. He began lashing it to summon his monsters, but when Ari rushed him, he quickly withdrew. His imps tried to sneak up on her, but Ari effortlessly slayed them with her blade, taunting Fumba that his cheap tricks wouldn't work on her twice. Desperate to eliminate her, he tried to command the Hydra, but Chiyomi slashed him across the back, and he realized that she's destroyed the cursed markings that allows him to control the beasts. With Ari ready to finish him off, she decided to summon flames out of her sword and burned off his whip in an instant. As he realized he was screwed, Fumba began trying to beg for his life, but she unleashed her flame on him, burning him to ashes immediately. At the same time, the demon rushed at the Hydra and ripped two of their heads off. Before another could unleash a blast, the demon sealed its mouth shut, but when another bit into his body, he decided to knock it back with a punch. When the Hydra tried escaping, Ark caught its tail, and with a mighty swing, he threw it towards the sky, allowing the demon to burn it with a great flame, turning it into ashes in an instant. As the sun began to rise, Ark rejoined the girls, and as they began wondering how he acquired the demon, he told them that he summoned it from another dimension. At this rate, Chiyomi thought it was only a matter of time before the entire realm begins to worship him because his powers were becoming too broken. Just then, a whispering fowl appeared and decided to reveal a message to Ari. Meanwhile, in the capital, Uriana was in a meeting with an elf chief and told him that her kingdom would take over the search for the missing elves. However, in exchange for her help, she asked him to support her ascent to the throne and even promised to fight their wars for them. Thinking it was the best arrangement possible, the elf chief decided to accept her offer. So Uriana told him that they are on path to having a peaceful coexistence, and they decided to shake hands to seal this agreement. At the same time, Ark and the girls were already heading back, and Ari revealed that she was disappointed at the sudden command to withdraw from her search. She thought it was good news that the Rotten Empire would be taking charge of the search, but wondered if it was the start of a coexistence with humans like Karsi had predicted. Ark thought it was but told her to accept the world as it was about to be changed. A few days later, while walking through the forest, Ark began saying that he was ready to start living a quiet life, but Ari told him to first learn to keep a quiet mouth. As Ark decided to reveal his face, the sight of his disgusting skull caused Chiyomi to hide behind a tree, and Ari realized she's never seen his huge bone before. However, when Ark began wondering what their next mission is, Ari told him that they must head for the Lord Crown, hoping they would find the spring that would break his skeleton curse. But as Ark heard those words, he realized that even though he still had no idea how he came into this world, he was glad he was spending it with his new friends and the girl he loved. This was it for today. See you next time. Watch other similar videos and complete your anime wishlist.